I got a question to ask you. Do you have character? Do you have character? Do you have character?
Everything you say and everything you do has to prove what you believe. The only way people will know what you believe is by the things you say and the things you do. And if you're not consistent in the things you say and do, no one will know what you believe.
Now tonight we're talking character. And some of us might need a little bit of a refresher. Character has to do with your personality traits, your attitudes, your ideas, your beliefs, your values, your morals. And it influences every single thought, every single idea, every single action, every single behavior in your entire life. I'd go as far as to say that our society today does not have a drug and alcohol problem. We have character problems. I'd go as far to say that we don't have a divorce problem in our country. We have character problems. We don't have bullying in our schools. We have character problems. We don't have relationship issues. We have character problems. It impacts every aspect of our lives.
I got a question to ask you.
Do you have character? My friends, there's some examples of character that you need to write down. Now, why do we call, for example, the alphabet characters? Because A is always A. B is B at 2 a.m. in the morning. C is still C, whether it's in Africa, Asia, or in the Bronx. It doesn't change. That's why we call them characters. Why do we call numbers characters? Because 1 is always 1, and 2 is always 2. Whether you are using it in the night or the day, it doesn't change. It's character. Why do we call statues characters? Because, like Victoria, no matter what happens around them, they never change.
Just like a sculptor has to create a statue, you've got to chisel your character out of the raw material of yourself. Character is the person you are after you've chiseled and have gotten past all the unnecessary material to what's underneath. The raw material is always there. Everything that happens to you, good or bad, is an opportunity for building your character.
Your belief system produces your values, and your values produce your morals. So morality is really a product of your values. It's related. And then when my morals are in place, morals inform ethics. Why? Because my morals dictate that I cannot violate my values. So I protect my character. And if my ethics are in place, my ethics produce my character, and my character becomes my lifestyle. Remember I told you, you don't lead out of your position, you lead out of your life. I want you to remember one thing I say, you may never see me again. Remember this. There is no private life. A person of character doesn't care if you discover their private life. If you are afraid that I might find out about your private life, you have no character. That's why a person with character does not live on what's popular. They live on what is principle. What is principle?
I remember associating with people who often were not the most popular in the school, but they were respected. And one of the reasons they were respected was because they had integrity. Although we regularly treat the terms as if they are equals, there is a difference between popularity or admiration and respect. The former has to do with positive outward attributes. The latter is a positive recognition of one's inner strength and character.
And this is why it's very difficult for politicians to have character. Because politics is based on popularity, which means you will literally sacrifice your principles to protect your popularity, which cancels your character, which means you cannot be trusted.
How about this one? Why should anyone trust you?
The foundation for trust is integrity. Write it down. Tweet that to somebody right now. What did I say? The foundation of trust is integrity. When you are one, people will eventually trust you. That means your word is always good. You say what you said, you do what you said, and then you act what you said.
Let me put it this way. If you wouldn't follow yourself, why should anyone else follow you?
Lead with your life. Your life is the weight of your words. Don't be attracted to charisma. Seek out character.
Before you ask somebody to follow you, make sure you have your own act together. You see, too many leaders, they're like travel agents. They send people where they've never been themselves.
There are preachers who are politicians. They would sell their principles for a pot of porridge. No character. Character, therefore, is simply that which is unchanging. Write it down. My question is, how often do you change? Who are you? Are you the same person all the time? Are you consistent? Are you predictable?
We attract who we are, not who we want. We attract who we are, not who we want. I run into people all the time, and they come to me and they say, John, I'm developing a group. I'm starting an organization here, and I'm getting people to buy in. And John, I'm all excited, and I look up and say, what kind of people do you want to be attracted to your organization? What kind of people do you want to bring in? What kind of people do you want to recruit? And they'll say, you know what? I want people with energy. Oh, I want energy. I like energy is important. I want people with energy. And I'll tell you what else I want. I want people with a character. I want somebody who has some integrity and an attitude. Oh, I want somebody who has a good attitude. Okay. And they start listing all these qualities they look for. And I'll let them list 3, 4, 5. Doesn't matter. But when they get to 5, I stop. I say, wait a minute. Hold it. Okay, you want somebody with energy? Yeah. You want somebody with character? Yeah. I want somebody with good attitude. Yeah. That's what I want. That's what I want. Stop. I don't care what you want. I got a question to ask you. Do you have character? You see, if you have energy, a character, and a great attitude, guess what you attract? Birds of a feather. See, like begins. Like attracts.
I want to give a few more definitions of character for you to understand how serious it is. First of all, character is a commitment to a set of values without compromise. What are values? Values are things you value. That's all. Not complicated. For example, if you value your marriage vow, you will never commit adultery. So when a person commits adultery, they don't value their marriage nor their marriage vows. So you can't respect them. And they lose the trust of their spouse and their children and even their in-laws and perhaps even the church that they are part of. See, your values will protect you. Secondly, character is the dedication to a set of standards without wavering. What are your standards that you've set for your life? My standards produce my character. I will never violate my standards. You got to say that every day. I do not tell lies. That's a standard. I do not steal. That includes stealing time from your job. Telling people you are sick when you are not sick. This is a lack of character. You are a thief.
In my life, the very first non-negotiable is that you have to be a person of high integrity. You can't play in Shadyville. You can't jump in and out of good character integrity when it's convenient. If you see an iPhone lying in the street, you can't pick up that iPhone and slip it in your purse saying, it's their fault that they lost it. Shadyville. Of course you can do that, but you wouldn't be a friend of mine. Integrity means that if you find an iPhone, you immediately look around and see if there's someone in a frantic expression who's lost it. Similarly, if you're a parent, you can choose to not spend time with your children, making them eat dinner on their own or letting them stay out all night long with their friends and party. But if that's how you parent, you probably won't be a friend of mine, or in my inner circle at least. So, although you can be flexible with who your friends are, you also need to have that core list of qualities, characteristics, values, and mindset that's non-negotiable.
See, you don't understand. Character is so subtle. There's no excuse in life for breaking your standards.
Character is something that you have and that you are. You could be marooned on a desert island, and your character would still be important.
Everybody say, lead with your life. See, your words mean nothing. Character protects your words. Write it down. The only way to test character is by temptation. The word temptation is not a negative word. To tempt or to temper means to test for weakness. That's all it means. You will never, ever have a time in your life when you are free from temptation. Never. So get over it. Get used to it. Tempting will constantly be in your life to monitor your character. Your character is as strong as the temptation you fell for. All that you built, everything you built with your whole life could be destroyed in 5 seconds. Ask Jimmy Swaggart. You think you're safe, huh? You better protect your character. You are as safe as your character.
It's that simple. There are no moral shortcuts in the game of life. There are basically 3 kinds of people: the unsuccessful, the temporarily successful, and those who become and remain successful. The difference is character.
You know, I've heard business people say, and I talk to them, I've even, in some of my business dealings and my negotiations for business investments, I sit with people. Many people come to me, they want to do business with me, and they want me to invest in their companies. And, I do a lot of this stuff. And I hear people say sometimes, honesty is my best policy. Honesty should never be your best policy. Never. Because best policy means I have second best, third best, fourth best, fifth best. I can't trust you. You have no character. A person of character would say, honesty is my only policy.
Goes back to a book I wrote. There's no such thing as business ethics. Why? Because there's no such thing as business ethics. There's just ethics. You can't compartmentalize ethics. You can't compartmentalize trust. You can't look at your people that work with you and say, you can trust me, and go home with your family and say, you can't trust me. It's got to be trust in all areas.
There's no such thing as a personal life. Write it down. There's no such thing as a private life. Write it down. So don't you ever tell people what I do in private is none of your business. It is my business because it determines whether I trust what you say publicly. It's called character. As a matter of fact, I have come to the conclusion that a person of character doesn't need to talk. They don't need to talk. They just show up.
Trust who you really are. Trust your ability to earn the respect of others. Pay whatever price the truth costs. Pay that bill immediately. Because in the long run, it's a real bargain. Honesty and integrity are not as important as money or shelter or a telephone. Honesty and integrity are infinitely more important than any of those things. They're about as important as having air and food and water.
3 things will test your character. Only 3 things. They will tell you whether you have character or not. First, power. When you give a person power, Their character shows up. You know, people say power corrupts, and power corrupts. Absolutely. I used to believe that. That's not true. Power does not corrupt. Power simply reveals corruption. You are already defective. You finally got a chance to show it. Power is pure character. Number two, money. When you give a human a lot of money, their real self shows up. And number three, access to sex. If you give a human access to sex, their character shows up or their lack of it. Only three things. So if you want to know what a woman really is, give her power, money, and access to sex. You want to know what a man is really like? Give him power, money, and access to sex. And that is why every human on this earth that have ever failed was because of either power, money, or sex. Period.
And the question is that I must ask myself, am I a trustworthy person? Self-deception is the enemy of relationship. It also undermines personal growth. If a person does not admit his shortcomings, he cannot improve them. The first person we must examine is ourselves. Trust begins with yourself.
And that's why I say, examine your beliefs, find out what they are. Make sure they are your belief. And by that I mean, make sure that the belief that you adhere to, it is consistent with your values.
Now, a person's character is and can be nothing else but the total result of his habits of thought.
Character is self-imposed discipline for the sake of moral convictions. Character is what? Self-imposed discipline. That means a person of character doesn't need the police. They police themselves. A person of character locks themselves up in the prison of their own convictions, and they throw away the key. Do you have character? See, your future depends on your character.